My name is Boma Alabi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Of course, I'm Nigerian, so Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And I was called to the bar in 1988. Now, that seems a rather long time to most of you, I'm sure. But yeah, over 32 years. So I've been a lawyer in Nigeria. I've also been in practice in another jurisdiction in England and Wales. What made me to choose this profession, you might ask? And I'll tell you. One was the dressing. I loved the way lawyers dressed. As a young child, I had an uncle who was my favorite uncle, Uncle Stanley. He ended up being a Supreme Court judge in Nigeria. But Uncle Stanley used to come to visit, and he would dress in his sharp black and, white, sparkling white collar. And I thought, when I grow up, I want to be like Uncle Stanley. I want to dress exactly like him to go to work. Now, that led to my taking an interest in what he did. And I found out that lawyers were about justice, defending those who are defenseless, ensuring that justice is done. And I thought, yes, that is of interest to me. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to defend those who otherwise would not have a defense. I'd like to ensure that justice is done and people get fair treatment across the board. So really, that's where my interest in this profession arose. Of course, practice is far different from, the childhood view, but that's where it came from. Now, in the course of my work, what challenges have I faced? I have faced a number of challenges, of course, because as a person, your professional life is only one part of your life. Over time, you have, depending on your choices, you can get married, you may have children. I did both, and I had to find a way to balance. So challenges, professional challenges crop up, and challenges with work-life balance also. I've had, of course, a family. I had to find a way to keep that balance and progress in my workspace as well. How did I cope with that? I had to hire help. And please, as a parent, don't be afraid to delegate. Do your homework to ensure that you're delegating to the right person. Pay them, and that way you can get on with your professional life. Of course, as a woman as well, there's gender bias in the profession. There's gender bias generally. It's a patriarchal society in Nigeria and most of the world, I have to say. That's why they say it's a man's world, but it isn't really. It's a person's world, and that's my view. And that's how I faced those challenges. I refused to be put down. I got those around me in my sphere of influence and those I'm working with to understand that equality is not a privilege, it's a right. And we all ought to be treated the same. And therefore, where I found that I wasn't being treated equally, I did not take it lying down. I made sure that, I got what was due to me. So yes, they may say you're a shouty, loud woman, she's not nice, she's domineering, the things, the qualities that they like about men and think it's all very masculine and very positive. When found in a woman in the workspace, can be seen as negative, but don't let that put you off, okay? Because in the workspace, you're not a woman. In the workspace, you're a professional, and that's what matters. At home, in your personal spaces where your gender might matter, but certainly not in your workspace. And anybody who tries to make that an issue, don't put up with it. That's my attitude. And that's how I've dealt with those specific challenges. Now, what would I say to a young person who wants to come into this profession? I would say you're most welcome. Be prepared. It is a profession. What that means is you have to constantly keep building up your skills. You have to understand that there's core lawyering skills that you can't but continue to build up all the time if you wish to be at the top of your game. You have to study. We read constantly. We're constantly updating on what's going on in various in jurisprudence in our areas of interest. And be prepared to do pro bono work. It's a tradition of the profession. It's a quick way of learning and upping your skills and getting you into areas that you might find of interest as you develop. Now, why did I and how did I become a senior advocate of Nigeria? In view of the fact that, yes, not many women. I think to date, we still do not have up to 25 women, entire history of the country, out of what, over 200,000 lawyers in Nigeria. So it's a tiny, tiny, minuscule number. And yes, it should increase. For me, one of the reasons I did this and aspired to become a senior advocate of Nigeria and thankfully got elevated on my first attempt is to literally just take the journey. And having taken the journey, be able to pull a few more women up the ladder. So that is a project for me. It's an ongoing thing. I'm sure in the next two to maximum 5 years, there'll be at least 3 other women who have benefited from my experience and who will also be elevated to silk. It's a work in progress. So if we're deliberate about it and we keep working at it, I think we're going to get more of us in the inner bar. That's one aspect that because there's so few women, there are few role models to look up to. There are few, what's the word now I'm looking for? Not just role models. It begins to look as though, is it possible? Is it just for the men? And it is possible. And the men were deliberate about how they aspired and worked towards the goal. We have done this. So I personally can see how it's, how you can go about assisting others to get there. And for me, specifically, more women. So watch this space. We're definitely going to have more women in the inner bar by the special grace of God. Yes. Well, I would say thank you very much and goodbye. Hope to talk to you again. And I hope I've inspired you in some way to join this profession, stay in this noble profession, and enjoy this profession, most importantly, because if you don't enjoy what you do, it's a chore. Thank you.